So maybe you're in a course and you want to learn a bit more about Excel and some of its functionality to assist you with doing statistical analysis. Or maybe you want to learn a couple new tricks because you already know Excel and you just want to build your proficiency. Or maybe the YouTube algorithm sent you here. Whatever the case, in this video, I'm going to show you a bit of basic Excel utilization for data science. Some of it is a bit extra basic and some of it is a little bit quirky and might provide you with some knowledge as it relates to something that you hadn't known before. As always, all code related to the video's exercises can be found in the video description below, along with the associated data file, which is structured in CSV, also known as comma separated value format. And if you needed help with getting those particular formatted bits of data imported into Excel, there's a video on that in this particular playlist. So without delaying any further, let's get into it. So first thing I want to do is I want to make you familiar with the definition of variables and observation, variable and observation designation. Now, when you're in a introductory class, you probably refer to the left to right uppermost row as just simply rows, and E, F, and G are columns. Now, if you're working in data science or with a database or in any field related to such, you want to get used to calling the values in the column headers variables. All right, so these are our variables. Sex01 is a variable, rest age is a variable, age R1, that is a variable. And each one of these variables, these rows, each variable contains observations. So sex1 has observation male, female, so on and so forth. Rest age has observations 78, 55, 30, and age R1, 75 plus, 18 to 59, 18 to 59. So the uppermost portion of your data sheet, these are variables. And as we go down, these are observations, okay? Now, as you can see here, if we were working, say, with a database, it sort of makes it more clear as to what I was trying to describe in the last slide. Each one of these rows from left to right corresponds with a particular individual, or in a database, this would be an individual's record. So this would be the unique identifier, the ID of the individual. So this is ID number 1, ID number 2. And for this particular individual, that ID1 is representing, their sex is male, their name is Charlie, their height in inches is 63, and their favorite color is green. So number, sex, name, height inches, favorite color, these are all variables. And contained within the variables are, for variable number, 1 is the observation contained therein, male, Charlie, 63, green. And here we have another row of observations. In this case, we have unique number ID 2, and that's a female named Jane. She's 61 inches in height, and her favorite color is purple. So our variables are number, sex, name, height inches, favorite color. And within each one of these variables in our data set, we have a corresponding observation. All right? So if I asked, what are all the observations contained in variable number? Well, that is 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And if I asked, what are all the observations within our particular data set or data frame? Well, that is name, sex, number, sex, name, height, inches, and favorite color. Now, something which is particularly useful, although somewhat unrelated to our exercise here, but you might, as you begin to enter the field, or if you're in class or taking a course or something, if you ever needed to copy a pathway as it relates to a file which is on your computer, if you hold down Shift and right click on a Windows PC, you'll come up with a option which wasn't there previously. So if you hold Shift and right click, this option will appear on the menu and you can copy as path. Now, if you then paste what was copied, you'll then have the path for whatever the particular file that you had clicked on. Now, this is useful when you're importing or exporting data in programs or platforms which are a little bit more complicated than Excel, but it can be useful. For instance, if you're at a job and you're using a shared drive and you need to specify where a file is being stored, this will save you some time from having to either copy or paste the address of the file from the address bar or type it out manually. Now let's get back to our Excel exercises. So let's say we want to rename a data sheet in Excel. Let's get a little Excel action here. Let's get one of these demo sets up. Here we are. Let's say we want to create a new sheet and then we want to rename that sheet. Well, we wanted to create a new sheet in Excel. We would just click this plus button here, which will create a new sheet. Now, if we wanted to modify the name of our new sheet, we would right click it. We would choose rename and we could choose whatever name we'd like. We're going to call this rename sheet. There we go. Easy enough, right? And there is the renamed sheet. Now, let's say that we wanted to select a series of rows or columns. To select a series of rows or columns. Now, to do this, if you wanted to get all of the rows or all of the columns without having to hold and click and drag or hold and click and drag, you could just click on either the row or the column and hold Control Shift on your keyboard and then press either right if you wanted to go from left to right or down if you wanted to go downward. So let's try that. So here is our demo set. And again, this is in the video description below. Let's select all of the observations, including the variable name, in column A. So we're going to hold Control Shift on our keyboard and then click the arrow button down. Here we go. And let's say we want to select all the variables from name to favorite course. We're going to hold Control Shift and then hit the arrow button right. And there we are. Easy enough, right? So Control Shift down. And then let's say we wanted to do Control Shift arrow key up. And there you are. Okay. Continuing on. Let's say we wanted to highlight some data. All right, so we're going to highlight these columns here. All right, here is our data. We're just going to highlight in this sheet here. So let's highlight the variables. So I'm going to go Control Shift right to select all of the variable names. And we're then just going to click this little bucket here. And now we've changed A1, B1, and C1 to the color of yellow. If we wanted to remove that, we could go to No Fill, or we could choose another color of our liking if necessary. There we are. Nice little color action there, okay? And this slide here further demonstrates the functionality. All right, this is kind of interesting, and not a lot of Excel users are familiar with this. This is sort of an intermediate tip here. Freezing data planes. All right, what we're going to do is we have to highlight the variable columns which we wish to freeze. Here we are. All right, we're now going to select View, and we're going to select Freeze Panes. Now we can select either the panes that we have previously highlighted, or we could select the top row, or we could select the first column. So if we wanted to do the top row, we could just click this. And as you can see now, when we scroll, the top row, aka the variable names, are frozen in place. So if we have a huge data set that we're working with in Excel, and we want to keep track of which variables are which and where, we could just do this and then scroll down, and maybe we're making modifications, scroll up. And then when we were done, we could just unfreeze those planes. And you unfreeze them by clicking Freeze panes, and then unfreeze. There we are. Not too difficult. It will make your life a whole lot easier when you're working with large Excel files. And this slide here is, again, redemonstrating how that is achieved. Okay, filters, also incredibly useful. Let's go ahead and put some filters on our data. So to do that, we're going to select our variables and we're going to click Filter and Sort, and then go to Filter here. All right, so select our variables, Filter and Sort, click Filter. And what this allows us to do is we can now easily filter through our columns. So let's say we want only individuals who have a favorite color of black. We click the drop down. We'll unselect pink and gray, make sure black is still selected, and click OK. Now we're only interested not only just in individuals who have a favorite color of black, but only individuals who are interested in European history as their favorite course. When we click on this particular arrow, make sure European history is clicked, and then click OK. As you can see now, the only individual left over is Lou Davis. So if we wanted to remove this particular filter, we could just click Select All, and now we have poetry selected, and we're back to Lou Davis and Jane Smith. But if we wanted to clear all filters completely, we could go to, with our filter selected, Filter and Sort, Clear. There we are. Now all the filters have been removed. And then if we want to disable the filter option, Filter and Sort again, and then just click Filter on the drop-down, and that has been removed. And now let's change this also back to no fill. All right. Not difficult. You can pause these slides if you wanted to have more information or would like a written description as to what's going on. I'm just going to slowly scroll through what we had just achieved. Okay. Now let's do a custom sort. Here's our data. And let's say we want to do a custom sort. So we're going to select our data, all the observations across variables, and then we're going to go to Filter and Sort, Custom Sort. And from here, we can decide which variable we'd like to sort from. We can select multiple variables. We're just going to keep it simple and just do one variable. So let's say we want to sort the name variable alphabetically. So sort on cell values, order A to Z, okay. And as you can see, now we've sorted alphabetically by name. G, J, L, R. And these slides further demonstrate that functionality if you wanted to pause and read through them. And then we're going to move on to a slightly different topic, a topic more so related to arithmetic and not so much sorting, etc. So let me open up our other sample data file, which again can be found in the video description below. And what we want to do now is count, average, and divide. So we have three variables here: average, sum, and COUNTIF. So let's go through each particular example, and then I'll do it on Excel. So first, we're going to average our data. So average is the same as mean. So average and mean are two terms which can be utilized synonymously as they have the same definition. And let's say we want to average the values from A2 to A11. And we want that value placed in A13. So to accomplish this, in A13, we're going to write equals average, Okay, just spell it out in all caps. And then we're going to open a parentheses. And then we're going to select our data. So go ahead and just click and drag. All right, just click, hold down the left mouse button and drag, and then close our parentheses. And there is our mean or our average of those values, okay? Not difficult stuff. Now let's get the sum. To get the sum, we're going to put equal sign, sum, all caps, all right? Open the parentheses, click, drag, make sure everything is selected, all right? Close the paren. There we are. There's the sum. The sum of the values from B2 to B11, that sum is 55. All right, now this can be really useful if you're working with a large set and you want to compute some summary statistics quickly and easily. We're going to use for that COUNTIF. So let's say we want to count the values in column C, and we want to count only values that are equal to red. We're not interested in blue or green or any other color which is available. We're only interested in red. Well, the Excel function for that is equals count if, open parens, highlight the values, and then we have to state what we're interested in. We're interested in only the values which are red. So in quotations, red. And there are 5 red values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There they are. Okay. And finally, if we want to do some division, we're going to put equals whatever value we're interested in dividing. So let's say we're interested in dividing 55. So equals 55 divided by, we're going to use a forward slash. That's the rightmost button next to your shift key. And then choose whatever value you're interested in dividing by. So 55 divided by 5, or the value in B13 divided by C13 is 11. Easy stuff, guys, gals, and folks. So one final thing that I should probably mention, because this is important and it's often overlooked. It's often overlooked by new users, and it's incredibly important because it can throw your entire project. If we have an average calculated and we start messing with the values, the function will keep track of the values as they exist in that particular range. Now, if we don't want this to happen, if we just want to come up, say, with the mean, or whatever the function is, or the sum of the values as they existed at this present time before we begin to modify the values from which the mean or the sum was calculated, we would copy the Excel function, we would copy that function, and then we would paste it as a value. And we'll do the same for the sum function over here. We're going to copy it, and then we're going to paste it as a value. And I'm right-clicking the mouse to get this menu up, and then I'm going to choose here, paste as value. Now what this does is, as you can see here, the function is gone. We only have the value, the average in this cell, and the sum in this cell. So now if we change the values from which the average or the sum were initially calculated, the values are static because they're no longer referencing the function in the formula. Now they're only the value itself. So that's where we're going to end today. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any questions, maybe leave a comment so we can help one another out. We're trying to get the message out to as many users as possible. So best of luck in your research and thanks for stopping by. And until next time, take care.